I just got done watching season 3, episode 4 of Reasonable Doubt, and I am gagged. That episode was fire. But why would they play that Drake song, Look What You've Done, Look What You've Done, at the end of this episode during that Ozzie and Monica scene? Drake would have never allowed them to use his song if he knew what it was being used for. But before we go any further, let me introduce myself. My name is Brandy, and I realize that you could be on any channel in the world, but you're right here with me, and I really do appreciate that. So before we get started, please go ahead and like this video. It really does help the channel out, and again, I deeply appreciate it. And also subscribe to the channel if you do like watching TV show reviews and also movie reviews. This episode kicks off with Jax and Daniel popping up at Ozzie's house unannounced to speak to his sister. They really want to figure out, where did Ozzie get the drugs from the night that Wendy was killed? Because they think whoever gave him those drugs or brought him them drugs is his alibi. Ozzie's sister did admit that she definitely got him drugs in the past. In fact, she got him the drugs the other day when he overdosed. But on a night on Wendy's murder, she has no idea who could have bought him over the drugs. She gives Jax and Daniel the name of a previous drug dealer that Ozzie used to use named Byron. And then Jax tells Daniel to follow up on that lead. But damn, it's so sad to see that Ozzie has such a serious drug issue that his sister has to cop him drugs. It's also crazy to see that in-house doctor, what's the doctor's name on the show? Dr. Gardner, I think. Something is suspicious about that doctor, y'all. I can't quite put my finger on it, but he might have to go on the suspect list too, because we see him also in this episode, and he gives Ozzie a prescription that really doesn't make sense. He gives him a prescription for medical grade cannabis to reduce his anxiety, something like that, but something is just very off with that doctor. Now we see Tommy stalking his wife, Kendra. He was waiting outside of her house when she came out in the morning in her robe to just grab the morning paper or something. When he approaches her, she's like, dang, didn't I tell you I need my space? But he has flowers in his hand, and he says, here, these are your favorite flowers, petunias. And she's like, those not my favorite. I like another name of flower, something she said, right? But anyway, he got her flowers wrong, and he got their anniversary wrong, because he said happy anniversary when he gave her the flowers. And she was like, the anniversary was yesterday. So we find out in this scene that the reason they're separated right now is because Tommy chose his career. And I'm sorry, guys, I cannot call him Bill. I got to call him Tommy, okay? But we find out in the scene that Tommy chose his career over family. It just seems like he just wasn't a present father. He wasn't a present husband. Like, she was like a single married lady, one of those type of situations, right? Where she's doing everything, helping the kids, and he's just there, but not really helping her out. It's just so funny to me how when you're a married woman with kids, like, your love language really is acts of service. Mostly, not all women, but most of us are like, yo, help me out. Dealing with them kids. Like she said, the nighttime routine alone to put down 3 kids is about 2 hours, and she has work to do. You know, she got to take care of herself. So she just wants Tommy to help out more. But we do see later on in the episode, Tommy stepped up his game a lot. He took the kids for his weekend. It looks like they already had that prearranged in a custody agreement. But he took the kids. They had a great weekend with dad. And not only that, but he was handling business for the kids. He called the pediatrician. He was talking to the soccer coach. Like, he was being a very active father and not putting that whole mental load on his wife, Kendra. Also, when he dropped the kids back off, he bought Kendra dinner. He bought her some oxtails. He was like, I know this is your favorite. I might have got the flowers wrong, but I know you like them oxtails, girl. And she's happy, and she's about to say something, but he cuts her off mid-sentence. But I'm curious what Kendra had to say to Tommy, because it looks like she's warming up to him a little bit by the end of this episode. Now, when we see Jax working at her law office, she's working on a defense for Ozzie. She's trying to figure out a way to clean up his public image before jury selection the next day. So she's talking out loud to her team, and she's like, I think that the drug use and the sexual abuse run parallel to each other. We could paint the public image of Ozzie that he's more so of a victim than a suspect. Ozzie, he turned to drugs after being SA since he was 13 years old, and he turned to drugs as a coping mechanism. And Wendy is the one that helped keep him clean. Wendy is the one that was going to be his lifelong partner, and he has no reason to want to kill Wendy because Wendy was his lifeline. And then they decided they really need to figure out who was the one that SA'd Ozzie, because whoever that person is really could be the one that actually killed Wendy, and they could pin everything on her. And I just love to see Jax doing her thing and working hard. She's such a baddie. I love her braids in this episode. She got the fresh, extra small box braids. She just looked good. And I also love that scene where her and Lewis was getting it on. Jax's lingerie in that scene was top tier. And they played that Sexy Red song right there too. Ooh, Jax, I'm so happy that Jax and Lewis be getting it on, because again, I think in season 1, they were having some intimacy issues. So to see them getting it in right now the way they do, I love to see it. So after Lewis and Jax got active, right, Naomi came home, their teenage daughter, and she's upset. She just came in and she slammed the door. And Jax is like, you got just one more time before you got to open the door. And she opens the door and says, well, I can't even slam a door. She said something like this, like, I can't even slam the door, but Dad could have a whole side baby. So Naima found out on her own that Lewis had the illegitimate break baby with her best friend's mom. And it seems like Naima found out about the baby because she found the little baby jersey. Remember that Lewis wanted to keep the little Philadelphia Eagles baby onesie that Tony bought for baby Jaden? So I guess that Naima found that, and she put one and one together and figured out about her dad's side baby. So now their son Spencer is home as well, and they just sit them down to talk over some food and tell them the situation. And the kids are just very upset. They don't want to hear it. And in this scene, I feel like Lewis just kept looking at Jax. I'm like, Lewis, you speak up. This is mostly your fault. You need to talk to the kids. But the kids are just so upset. They don't really want to hear anything that their parents have to say. They feel betrayed because the parents didn't even tell them. And Naima is especially upset because it was her best friend's mom that Lewis had the baby with, and she's just beside herself. In fact, she says at the dinner table, like, why are you guys always trying to mess up this family? Like, you two just can't get anything right. So now we see Tommy and Jax at Ozzie's house, and they're trying to explain to them the whole essay and drug abuse angle, right? They're telling him, like, listen, we need to come clean about this essay situation. We're not going to make it a PR stunt or anything like that, but we think that it will help your public image. Like, the jury needs to know this information, and the public is going to find out, but you need to tell your parents first. So they call over the parents, they tell the parents, and the parents do really look deeply saddened by the information. And they're like, Ozzie, why didn't you tell us? We would have protected you. And just wait till that mom finds out who it was. Wait till she finds out. That lady is gonna go crazy. She's probably gonna catch a charge too. Now we see Jax having a girls' night out with her friend Chantel, Sally, and Dr. Owens. And they were all about to take a shot. And before everybody got to do their cheers, Sally, I believe that's her name, Sally took her shot first, right? And I think they're just trying to foreshadow that Sally is having some kind of deep issues and she's turning to alcohol or something, because she was getting it in this scene. But anyway, Dr. Owens, she announces that she is finally pregnant, and she is so happy. And Dr. Owens is actually the therapist that was helping Ozzie work through his SA issues as well. But nonetheless, we see that Dr. Owens and Chantel, I was so happy to see her. I'm happy to see that life goes on, because in season 2, remember, she was on trial for killing her husband, and Jax got her off. So just happy to see Chantel out and about having a good time. But Chantel and Dr. Owens, they take a bathroom break, and Sally and Jax are left behind, just kicking it. And Sally is telling Jax, like, that she's been getting it in with her husband. Although her and her husband, I think that they're separated right now. Sally is just saying how good the D is and how much better that the angry D is than when they were actually happily together. And Jax is like, but are you sure? Are you sure that he's not sleeping with somebody else? And Sally just straight up just goes off the rail. And she was like, you know what? You're a effing hater. I feel like Sally was just way out of line. And she was like, yeah, Jax, you always been a hater since high school. And Jax was like, yeah, you always been a hoe since high school. Jax is unmatched. She really is. Her comebacks be so quick and slick. But anyway, those two are just arguing a little bit, and then the other two ladies come back from the bathroom. So they play it off and just act like they were planning the baby shower. And so nobody knows they were arguing, but we'll see more of that hopefully on the next episode. Now let's talk about Lewis and this coder he has that look just like Young Berg, the producer, right? He really does. So Lewis is really trying to help this black man out. This guy lied on his resume, said he had C++ coding experience, right? So Lewis sees that a lot of mistakes are being made on the code because people are bringing it to Lewis's attention because Lewis is in management. And Lewis calls him in like, yo, man, you're making a lot of mistakes. Like, what's good? And he's like, listen, man, basically, like, I lied. I don't really have a lot of C++ experience, but I'm trying to learn. My boy is teaching me off to the side, but it's going to take me some time to get up and running, right? So Lewis is like, listen, thank you for your honesty, but, you need to be working on weekends, evenings, evenings, working for free, unpaid, because, you need to get up to speed real quick because, like, I hired you, kind of like this is on me too. So young Berg, he agrees and he walks away, right? But then later on, we see in another scene that Lewis's boss tells him that they received a letter from Sam's old company saying that he has a non-compete clause and that he's not supposed to work for another gaming company for at least 6 months. So something else that Sam lied about, right? They called Sam in. Lewis tried to fire him on the spot, but then Sam mentioned right in front of Lewis's boss, like, oh man, do you still want me to do the unpaid training? So Lewis's boss steps in quickly, like, oh, listen, just go ahead, do your work. We'll handle the non-compete clause with HR. And I'm just thinking it was because of the way Sam positioned his words. The way he said things was that lawsuit talk, right? He talking like, oh, about, the first black coder, black this, black that. And the white man is just looking like, oh, this sounds like some type of lawsuit talk. So let's not fire him right now. Let's keep him on the books. But he turns to Lewis like, listen, you're a great employee, but if you want a future here, like, you have to do what's best for the company, basically. And then later on, we see that Lewis smartens up a bit, right? Sam comes to him with some type of issue, and Lewis is like, listen, man, you're going to have to figure it out on your own. And Sam is like, oh, it's like that? And Lewis was like, how did you think it would be, right? So Lewis got a little bit strict and professional by the end of this episode. Thank God, but damn, it's so crazy when you try to help somebody out and then they just stab you in the back like that. Now, Jax and her daddy issues. We see Jax and Lewis, they're talking in their bedroom and they agreed to not let Eddie meet their children yet until Jax was 100% sure that it was a good idea. This guy was a deadbeat all of Jax's life. He was not a good father. So Lewis is like, we don't want to bring him and his, he's not unstable. We don't want to bring him around the kids and break their heart too. So Jax agreed, right? So one night Jax and Lewis are out and Mama Lewis babysitting the kids, right? Which is odd. Those kids are big as hell and they barely be home anyway. I don't know why Mama Lou had to babysit them. But anyway, so Mama Lou was over there babysitting them big kids. And Jack's dad, Eddie, he knocks on the door, right? And Mama Lou was like, what are you doing here? And he was like, well, you told me you were babysitting the kids. And this guy just has the audacity. Like, he really does. How dare you pop up to meet Jax and Lewis's kids? Like, Jax barely want to be bothered with you. Now you want to pop up and meet her kids on the low? But Mama Lou, she got on my nerves too. She is so toxic. She actually let Eddie in. Eddie comes in there, he introduces himself to the kids, and the kids are like, oh, we don't know you, like Mom just said that you left when she was young. We don't even know anything about you, right? Just the audacity of this grandpa. But anyway, he wins them over. They start doing a little TikTok dance, and then he asked them like, oh, where are your parents? What time are they going to be home? And they're like, oh, we don't know when they're going to be home, and we don't care when they're going to be home either. And then Eddie asked like, well, what's going on? Because he could tell the way the kids were speaking of their parents that it was an underlying issue. And so Spencer was like, well, you wouldn't understand. And then Grandpa Eddie, he pulls out two $20 bills, was like, I'll give these to you if I get it, if I do understand. So those kids folded for $20. Let me tell you, my 10-year-old daughter would not even fold for $20 and flip on me like that, even if she was mad at me. So I just think that was unrealistic. Like, these kids come from, high income background. Like, $20, really? But anyway, the kids tell Grandpa Eddie all of the tea. So when Jax and Lewis come home, the kids are in a better mood. They seem happy and they're talking about their grandpa. And Jax and Lewis are surprised, but they don't want to let the kids know, like, they didn't know that Eddie was there, right? They trying to play it off too. So Jax and Lewis have a side conversation in the bedroom, like, well, what are we going to do about this? And Jax is pretty cool with it. She was like, listen, the kids are happy. It's been a lot of tension in the house. They've been angry with us. Like, if they're happy, it's a win. A win is a win. And Lewis was not feeling it. Lewis is like, no, we agreed that, Eddie cannot come around here. He broke your heart. Do you want him to break our kids' hearts too? And I could actually understand both sides because Jax, the little girl inside of her really does want a relationship with her dad. And she's probably seeing it as she likes that her dad is being a little bit more aggressive and trying to insert himself into her life. That must mean that he really wants to be part of her and her family's life right now, right? But Lewis is just being a protective dad. So Lewis, he makes the decision to go step to Eddie. Oh my God. And Eddie cleared him. Lewis pulled up on Eddie. Eddie was in the alleyway with his bandmate boys, whatever. And Lewis coming with his chest poked all out. He like, listen, like, you need to stay away from my family. Nobody told you to come around. So Eddie, he's smooth. Mind you, Eddie's an ex-crackhead, right? A crackhead will cuss your ass out. So he still got that crackhead spirit up in him. So he cleared Lewis so easily. He's like, listen, how are you going to tell me about not coming to your home when Jax is the one that pays the mortgage over there? You can't even claim head of household on your tax. taxes. Not only that, you can't even protect my daughter. She got kidnapped. You know, you had a side baby. So he just spilling all of the tea that the kids told him. And Lewis was like, at least I was there for my kids. No matter what marital issues I was having, I was there for my children. And I felt him on that. And I feel like Lewis should have rolled that way. But nonetheless, Eddie won that verbal fight right there. But damn, I was just thinking in that moment, like, Jax got her mouth from her daddy. Like, Jax's comebacks are epic, and she definitely got that from Eddie. But I was just like, oh, Lewis, it's so much more you can say. This guy is a deadbeat. Like, go in, go in, go in. But again, Lewis was just being a little bit soft, and Lewis wasn't quick with them comebacks at all. And this scene was funny as hell. I was rolling, man. I was dead. Now, here's where things get really, really messy. Daniel finds Ozzie's journals hidden away in the back closet. He got access to Ozzie's house. He told his sister he needed to get in there urgently. So his sister told him where the spirit key was. So he got into the house. He found Ozzie's journals, and he found out that it was Monica that has been SAing him since he was 13 years old. So Daniel calls Jax, and he's reading a journal entry to her. Meanwhile, it's flashing back to the last time that Monica and Ozzie were together. And here's where the writers got real messy, because again, they were playing that Drake song, right? The writers was being real messy with that. But we see Monica trying to seduce Ozzie, and she has pills for him. She says she's been drinking too much and she needs to stay the night, and then she waltzes away in her lingerie and is like, Ozzie, come to bed. But things got a little bit tricky here for me, because in the journal entry that Daniel was reading out loud, Ozzie says, this is the first time I've been able to say no to Monica. I've never been able to say no to Monica since I've been 13 years old. So, but it looks like the scene was about to end with them about to, get it in, but he says he said no. So that just leads me to think, like, what happened after Ozzie said no? But anyway, Monica, I cannot wait to see her go to jail. She has been SAing him since he's been 13 years old. And, providing him with drugs too. That's why he's so messed up in the head. But anyway, y'all, this episode was good. I kind of suspected it was Monica. I'm pretty sure I said that on my last review. So it wasn't that much of a shock to me that it was Monica. But I cannot wait till Ozzie's parents find out who it was. But nonetheless, if you like this video and you made it this far, please go ahead and give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you on the next recap. And put your comments and theories down below too, please. Love you. See you next time. Peace.